XLDM. Okay, we are back with another thrilling episode of spreadsheet-based dungeon mastering, using Google Sheets, using JavaScript. How do you create multiple whiteboards for different topics? My whiteboard. New whiteboard. Aha, saves the features. Perfect. Okay. So, let's today we are thinking about, what's the date today? 15th of October. We're thinking about NPCs. We're thinking about society. And we're thinking about kinship. So let's look at what I've got so far. Royalty since I got rid of HP and mana, I want to rework the way that NPCs are generated, the way it looks. And we're going to let's look at the various aspects that make up an NPC. So this is a table of all the NPCs that are generated. For the sake of cross-compatibility, or backward compatibility of NPCs that have already been generated, I'm kind of stuck with thinking about the categories that we already have. So let's think about what those are. So what is an NPC? Right, we're talking about non-player characters. Although sometimes I will have players whose characters are not present in the scene play non-player characters. Have them sponsor NPCs and play them over the long term as a way to sort of put more social uncertainty into the game. Pop me down there. Okay, so non-player characters. So they are a first and second name. So their first name and a family name. Sex, origin, and class. Right. Sex, origin. I can tell you right now we don't need class anymore. Since there's no mana, and the amount of mana points an NPC has depended upon the class, because that was the score, which was, so we can get rid of class. Maybe pop another color through there. Origin determines names, so does sex. So names are gendered based on sex, and family name is, I guess, gendered based on origin. So these are the order of genesis here. Last known location. That's sort of a play thing. So I'm going to put that last known location. We also have preferred name. Right, we got preferred name, which is for nicknames or whatever. Preferred name. Out of 10. An important distinction to make. Good looking there out of 10. Group. That's like last known location. That's sort of like something which isn't generated with the NPC, but something I put in to help organize them. We got notes. Then we've got a whole bunch of things for appearance. So general appearance, hair, face, eyes, nose, mouth. Then what they're wearing, left hand, right hand, clothes, armor. Their scores, which are important. And then we got HP and mana, which are redundant. Carrying capacity as well, not so important. And then some things about backstory, which are sort of added on there. This is where we get into society, who your mother is, who your father is. I would like to sort of work on that a little bit when it comes to that and kinship. So that's kind of two jobs here, right? So this is all about displacing RNG, random number generation, in... Hello, David. Yes, Moody Green Emerald City today. Displacing RNG in NPC generation. And so what that means is I want certain traits, right, to come from wider systems. Wider systems which are complex but amenable to the players through their character sheet. So once again, we've got to think about, well, when we think about the NPC generation, what happens is with all of this hidden stuff, constantly creating random variables, and then what we do is we organize them in the randomizer column, and then we use the macro to essentially paste these as immutable values here, which can then be saved. So it takes up too much space, I think, and also I don't like having to scroll down here. Some of this doesn't work. So I think the best thing to do is actually to make another sheet. Right. To make another sheet. I don't have to see, I can't copy and paste these. And for that reason, I'm not going to make another sheet. The other thing I did want to tease out was, so when it comes to kinship, let's see, we have our ego, right? We've got our NPC, and then we've got mother, father, right? We might have a sister. We might have brother. Right? So basically, the problem I've been thinking about is how to procedurally generate our NPCs based on a designated kinship model, a lineage, but one that can also change based on model, and actually have formulas that not only create NPCs that are made in the image of the kinship tree, but also be able to represent dynamically relations on the character sheet. So that if this is John, right? If we have a drop down here, right, and we've got John, Jill, right, and I don't know, David, right, and this is actually David, right, or rather based on the ego, right? So if we choose John and Jill is his sister, Jill's going to come up here, David's going to come up here, right? But if we chose David here, hey, that's me, then John and Jill would actually be down here, right? We'd have, you know, they'd be down here, and up here we would have David's father, David's sister, you see? And so we'd be able to have that sort of move around. And I was thinking about how to actually do that, because you're talking about relatively filling a kinship chart relative on the ego, and it's fine because we only ever select one NPC at a time, right? And the if we're here, you know, like if I choose this guy, it's going to bring up his stuff, right? And then what we could have in society is a column which contains a kind of serial code, which would, I mean, first of all, you would have like certain things like, let's say their last name is Smith, right? These are the Smiths. Well, the code, right, would have something like, firstly, each surname would have a number. So let's say Smith was number 49, right? We would have maybe something like 49, and then we would have a stopgap, because that number, you know, depending on the families, we might have 2 figures, 3 figures, 4 figures, so we want a thing that we're going to be able to see. So we put anything in here. So for example, 49, if we put in just like ABC, right? ABC, and then I actually worked this out already. Right. And then what we need to have is, so male or female, you know. So then we've got male, female, generation number, and then series of binaries. So series of binaries, which would be the sum of like an if, right? Where it's like if gonna have to check my formula again. Parent or external mother or guardian. lineage or non-lineage. Parent or external. Yeah, so it would be if we're talking about parent or external, and then we're talking about if part of the lineage or married in. And then basically, rather than this being a value, this will be a series of formulas which change in every single role, right, for the NPCs based on who our ego is. And this would be the thing that determines. So when we make an NPC, we're actually making always a cluster of NPCs. So what does that look like? Well, so we would have, once again, we would have our NPC that we're interested in.
I heard my name, so I've decided to jump in for a little bit.
Oh, hello, David.
Hey, I'm working on a proposal for a conference right now, so I'm like co-working with you.
Oh, cool. So I'm working on kinship just now. So we've got father and mother. Although eventually I would like these to be like different molds that could change depending on the societies that I want to, be within. But we'll just get the system working with something simple. We're going to want to put in so by code this would be F, and then this would be M, and then we've got our dynasty line, and we've got sister. We've got brother. We're going to code these as Z and X. We've got spouse. Which we can call husband or wife, I guess. Dependent. And we also want son and daughter.
So I might have missed this. So what's the kind of algorithmic calculation? Like how's that related, like the spreadsheet? How is this related to these family structures?
Right, well, so I already have an NPC generator that makes NPCs, non-player characters, but it kind of makes them as individuals.